Good morning. Welcome to today's discussion about case management and how it can help your child and help your family. In the next few minutes, we're going to answer some questions that you may have if you've never utilized case management before. So I'm Lori Manson. I'm the marketing coordinator at Pine Tree Society, and I work at an agency that has case management, but I've never used it myself, and so I really don't feel like I know all that much about case management. So I asked the expert, Mike Bell, to join me today and answer some questions about children's case management. Mike is can you tell me what you are? I forget.
Sure, I'm the team leader for children's case management here at Pine Tree Society.
Great. So you have a much deeper understanding of children's case management, hopefully, than I do. So can you just start out with the really bare basics, like what is case management?
Sure. I think a lot of people don't know what case management is off the bat, and oftentimes are told that maybe case management can be helpful to them in some way for supporting their child with special needs. Case management, children's case management, is something that we provide for children from early childhood up through age 21 years old. We serve people with developmental disabilities as well as chronic medical conditions for those populations. And we specifically do referrals for services, coordinate services, provide resources in the community, and help collaborate with the team to make sure the child's needs are being met.
Great. So when you say early childhood, what does that mean specifically?
Sure. So we currently even have children as young as 18 months old that we're serving. So that can look really different. So when we're talking about the toddler age, for a child with medical conditions, we may be establishing service providers for them, physicians, specialists, things such as that. As they become a preschooler, we may be looking at developmental preschools, where they can be provided with developmental therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and services such as that.
What kind of medical conditions are you talking about?
Sure. A wide variety. When it comes to medical conditions, it could be cerebral palsy, Down syndrome can be considered under that as well sometimes. A lot of genetic disorders we serve, different rare syndromes as well. So quite a variety.
So I'm assuming for a parent who has a child with one of those conditions, it can be overwhelming for them to try to become an expert in everything that could benefit their child. And that's kind of where case management comes in?
Correct. So, for example, some of these younger kids were referred from physicians specifically because there's a lot of coordination, a lot of research that has to be done to get the right specialists and connected to them, and just to make sure they get the services that they need to address their specific needs.
So I'm going to go way off script because I didn't ask this before when we were talking about potential questions. But one thing I think I would have wondered about if my child had one of these conditions, are there income guidelines? Do I have to be low income to qualify for case management services?
Sure, good question. So eligibility-wise, some of the things that you are required to be eligible for our services for targeted case management would be have the Mean Care or Katie Beckett services, and that's one piece there. So as far as income goes, regardless of income, you can access our services. It's just a matter of which insurance you're going to get, if it's Katie Beckett or Mean Care. We do have the option to private pay as well.
So again, off script, but I hear that word Katie Beckett, and I don't. Maybe parents do know what that is if they have a child with one of those conditions, but could you tell me what that is a little bit?
Yeah, in short, it's same coverage as Mean Care. It's basically a kind of Mean Care, but it's income driven. So, for example, if you make a certain amount of money, you may not be able to get what they call straight Mean Care, which is no cost to the individual, which would cover all of the services free of charge. Katie Beckett is the same kind of coverages under Mean Care, except you pay a premium based on your income.
Great. Okay. So that kind of answers my question a little bit better about income eligibility. So that's great. Thank you, Mike. So can you tell us some kind of the specific things that you do? You mentioned briefly touching on like doctor's appointments. You mentioned community services and stuff. Can you give some examples?
Yeah, so there's a wide array of services that the Office of Child and Family Services offers from the state, and so those services are things that we may make referrals for based on the service plan that we develop with the family. So those service plans are really specific to the child and family driven. So whatever the team feels is most appropriate for this child to be working on and they need for supports is what case management's there for. So, I mean, a few of the things that we may do is establishing those services, but once they're established for home and community supports, those would be working on activities of daily living, independence in the home and the community, social skills, things such as that. But we can monitor those services to make sure they're working effectively and make sure you have a provider that's able to meet those needs.
I feel like I've just heard or seen little examples, even like, for example, like Pine Tree Camp, like our Pine Tree Camp. I know that case managers seem to help facilitate getting kids into programs like Pine Tree Camp. So recreational kind of possibilities.
Absolutely. So specifically, if on their plan we are looking to find resources and services and supports that are helping to develop social skills, make peer connections, make natural supports, which when we're talking about Pine Tree Camp, that's a big part of that as well. Families kind of become part of that. But yeah, we most definitely would help establish those kinds of connections, help facilitate getting connected with camp and summer approaches. That's something that we're busily doing right now for a lot of families, is making sure that happens for them if they need that support.
Similarly, like therapeutic riding program, things like that. Do you have resources like that you?
Yeah. So again, a wide variety of options out there. But if that's something that the team and the family developed as a goal that we wanted to work on and we wanted to try to establish to help meet those developmental needs, then that's something that we would look into and try to help support establishing.
Great. So let's just briefly touch on some of the stages and how child case management works in. Do you feel like we've already covered kind of the early childhood pretty well?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
And we've talked about the medical part, I think, pretty well. I had a family that I was talking to recently that utilizes case management services at Pine Tree Society. And they said that when their son was small, they felt like they could handle all of his needs themselves. But they were advised by the school to be sure to get him into case management by the time he had reached transition age.
Right.
So you and I know what transition age means, but can you, for people that don't know what that means, what is that?
Right. So that's something that we provide here at Pine Tree Society is that transition case management for youth as they are approaching that 18. There's a lot of tasks that kind of need to be completed in order to make sure somebody's eligible for adult services. So just because they were found eligible for children's services does not automatically make sure that they're eligible for adults. So there's a process involved with that. So we would actively be having a transition plan in place to make sure a family feels really comfortable that everything's going to be taken care of before they're 18 and the transition is going to go smoothly. So some of those things might be guardianship. Again, as somebody turns 18, if there's no court proceedings or anything done there, then somebody becomes their own guardian, which is appropriate for many. But others, they do need that ongoing guardianship to help reduce any safety risks to them and protect them a little bit. So that's a process that we can help walk through as far as what to do, the timing, the paperwork, and all that stuff. Social Security is another piece to transition. Work, making sure that we have the services and supports to help somebody who wants to work to be able to work towards that goal. So that would be a lot of the transition pieces. Oftentimes that comes up, gets a little heavier after they're 14 years old. And the reason it kind of starts so early is because we're trying to plan. It takes some time to work through some of these things, make sure they have the supports they need to start getting the skill sets they need for the next stages of their life.
Right. Because when you said 18, I was thinking, well, this can't wait till they're 17 and a half. So
Right.
you just perfectly just mentioned the fact that starting at 14 is really when we need to start working on those the transition plan,
Absolutely.
transition to adulthood, transition out of school. What's the next step after that? Work.
Yeah, I mean, that's another piece as well is post-high school education. I've had a number of our clients who have gone on to college, community college, other programs, training programs, things like that. So that's another big piece of the transition, depending on what their specific goals are and their plan.
So that's been a lot of information in a really short time, but I know I have a much better understanding than I did earlier, and I hope that folks who watch this do as well. Can you sum up pretty succinctly what the benefits of case management to the child are?
Sure. So again, based on their age, that can vary a lot, but really the big benefits to the child is that they're going to walk away with services and supports, resources. They're going to help them address those specific goals and be more independent over time.
Great. And so that is going to benefit the family as well. So is there anything else specifically that comes to mind around benefits for that family?
Yes, absolutely. And I can speak to this on a couple sides. As a child gets older, there's so many things to do, and everybody needs support, and so that's what we're here to do. Having a child with special needs myself, certainly understand that that's something that you need, and there's only so much time in the course of a day. So it can become a full-time job depending on the level of needs that your child has. So we can provide things like coordination, making that extra phone call for you, just making sure services are working well and everybody's working together to accomplish the goals for your child.
Yes, I think that's a good point. Case management must be very much about the individual and the family. It's not about what Pine Tree Society thinks is good for them.
Right.
It's you guiding that family to help make the decisions on what's good, educating them, and then helping them make decisions and then implement that plan.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. No, every family is very different and has different needs, and we kind of honor that based on what they would like. So there's families that we serve who just kind of want us there for some resources and things like that, and then other families who their child has some really, really intensive needs and really needs some heavier support, and we'd be glad to provide that too.
Great. So thanks so much for your time today, Mike. Can you tell people how they could get more information if they feel like they have more questions?
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And if you need more information from Pine Tree Society Case Management, you can message us here on this page, or you can go to our website, which is www.pinetreesociety.org. Thank you so much.
Thanks.